Utopia, dystopia, and today's technology hosted by Johannes, bringing a global conversation discussing technologies that affect us all.
Hello, my name is Johannes. I will be your host. And today I have an exciting guest named Ashish Kumar Singh, who is one of the earliest adopters of blockchain and the Web3 in the United Emirates region. He comes with experience of more than a decade in nascent technologies such as data analytics, AI, ML, blockchain, and recently he's active in the Web3 space mostly, which includes the metaverse and NFTs. He is heading pre-sales at Avanza Innovations, which is a Dubai-based Web3 company and cherishes the biggest market share in the Gulf region on blockchain and Web3 implementations. Ashish comes from a technical background, being an engineer, though his focus was more on innovation and new initiatives in the tech space, which led him to connect us here. And we will talk about the metaverse specifically today from a perspective which is not usually covered or no one usually speaks from. And then I want to say, there will also be an introductory episode that will be related to this one that is about the blockchain specifically. So this one here is about the metaverse, the other one being about the blockchain. They are related and in various ways, and we will have another episode for that. So if I also want to say to my listeners that if you find any of the questions I ask kind of stupid, or if you wish that I had asked some other questions, or even if you liked a particular question that I asked, please let me know in the comments because I want to improve as a podcast host, being new to this relatively. Okay, now without further ado, please welcome Ashish Kumar Singh, and let's start the conversation about the metaverse. So, what exactly? Let me start by asking this, very naive question. What exactly do we mean by the metaverse? Is this something that the company Meta puts out, or how far is that involved? And there is this idea of decentralization, which I assume is opposed to Meta being. I think it has something to do with not allowing the big corporations to run away with everything. But I am also not extremely technically familiar with this area. I myself work in machine learning and AI ethics, so I'm rather new to this. So please, could you tell us a little bit about what the metaverse actually is, what it is not, and how we can understand it better?
Yeah, sure. So, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everyone across the world. Okay, when people usually talk about metaverse, they think it's a very technical, it's a very complicated environment which is only meant for sophisticated techies to work on or even understand. That's actually not the reality. Metaverse is something which internet was way back when it was just an experiment around the world. But today, if I have to put it in a very simple terminology, it's the next revolution of social revolution. Now, when it comes to social revolution, people say that, okay, I'm still using Facebook, I'm still using other means, Telegram and WhatsApp. What's new in here? So the new thing is the immersive experience. What you have been doing so far is interacting on a 2D environment without putting all the real time expressions in front of you. That is not happening in the normal Facebook or the Facebook of the words. But when it comes to metaverse, you can actually become yourself in there, and that's where the terminology of digital twin comes into picture. So digital twin is a terminology which talks about that, okay, what you are in the real world can be replicated in the digital world. If you recall movies like Tron and other sci-fi movies which happened in the past, I think the idea came from there. I mean, it's not new from the perspective of people thinking about it, or fantasizing about it. It's not new, but now is the time when it's actually being implemented, and that's why it's not just a gimmick. McKinsey just recently published a report that it's a $1 trillion opportunity for the world, and that's why every country, be it a developed country or a developing country, and even an underdeveloped country, they are looking into metaverse very seriously. So that is definitely a serious thing to happen. I'll say that people usually confuse metaverse with just gamification, or just a very fancy area where you can just hang out or just chill out. It's not like that. The serious people are doing serious stuff in the metaverse. So that's where people call it as enterprise metaverse, and definitely I'll be talking about it in the podcast, depending upon the question which comes to me. But let's understand that metaverse is the next evolution of the social revolution.
Of the social revolution. So what do you mean by the social revolution, others?
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So the social revolution means that how, like I said, how people have been interacting so far. So people have been interacting via, a browser when they want to talk to their relatives or friends sitting, in a different time zone. But imagine if they can come into a digital world and they can do or feel or even sense the way they are doing it in the reality. So it's beyond like today we both are interacting on a camera, right? We are just using an application and seeing each other. But what if you are also able to feel things? And that's actually, the by the way, the roadmap in metaverse is not what you see today. If you look at the augmented reality, that is where the metaverse will eventually head into. So everything will be felt across, and that's called social revolution. You'll be more social. And also the security aspects, for example, if you want to meet strangers or meet new people in the real world, still there are concerns or constraints. For example, we both are talking to each other through a mobile app, but imagine if we both can just hang out in a place, three-dimensional place, where we both can sit and come as and when we need, with all the utilities, like enjoying a movie together, going into the training together, or even doing some sports activity. You will not believe it, in metaverse people have started building the apps where you can do the jogging or the cycling. You have your own tricycle at your end, and I have mine, and we both can do a race. So these things are happening. This is the efficient way of community building. So it's again I'll always put this in front of my audience, or in front of the people I usually interact. It's a Gen Z technology. Gen Z is the generation which is in the 20s now. So
I have to push a little bit back here because
yeah.
so for example, because in my life there are so many experiences that are so beautiful in the real world, and the thing about that is that when I, for example, when I go to Romania, I went to Romania last year, to the Danube Delta, where there's pre-industrial level of birds and wildlife, and you're out there, and you can make a fire near the Danube Delta,
Of
and
course.
you experience this, and your children experience this, and you're there, and you're in communion with these birds. So it would be very different for this bird to be actually simulated, rather than seeing a real pelican in life. And I feel there could be a danger that people will be taken out of the real world. They will get so fascinated by what's in this sort of, in a way, so as a skeptic, I might use a little bit of a drastic term here and say, in a sort of a digital dollhouse experience. And so, will that not take us
Yeah.
away from this? Will it not take us out of nature, and will diminish this the relationship that has already been fading? So even the internet as it is, so I'm even skeptical of it as being as meritocratic or have as much merit as people say that it does, right? So because it does take us away from seeing wild animals and being in a really beautiful environment with loved ones and your family and your children and Gen Z and so on, right? So is it not actually, in a way, diminishing us as a species in a way? Could it not harm us in that way?
Okay, so that's where I think the responsibility comes in our hands. I mean, people like us who have been, working in this area for so long should segregate what is required in metaverse and what is not required in metaverse. So again, metaverse is not a replacement of your real life experiences. People, and that's where the most of the people are hustling into. They think everything which is happening in the real world, let's move it to metaverse and make it very cool. So that is not the objective of metaverse. Metaverse is meant to actually fill the gap. So like for example, when I go to my customers or when I speak to new people, I always ask them, if something could be done in a browser, it is not meant for metaverse. If something could be done in a mobile app, it is not meant for metaverse. Metaverse has to solve a problem which can only be solved by metaverse. So let's take few examples. The example number one is, for example, even in your case, like you said, I will definitely not recommend to replicate Romania or Dracula's castle and let it like I'm sitting here and I'm experiencing it. That is not very fascinating to me. But imagine, even in that area, if I'm able to actually create an ice age, which is not going to happen ever or has already happened. If I create a three-dimensional view of how dinosaurs were walking, and if I'm able to walk within them, and I can understand the zoology, geography, or even the dynamics of that era. So that is definitely a game changer. That can even have very scientific you can say execution. People can actually do proper study around it. And when I'm doing that, I'm saying that these ecosystems are not built by some gamers or some amateurs. Scientists have to come together, like architects, scientists, the archaeologists. They have to come together and build a very accurate version of the ice age era, so that our future generations, they are not just have to read it in the books, they can experience it. That is one of the proper usage of metaverse. Other than that, if you talk today, like I said, now this is where enterprise metaverse is important. Now when I say enterprise metaverse, let me give you two very basic examples. Example number one, imagine, and that is something we did in Dubai, by the way. So in Dubai, what happens is it's a trading ecosystem or a hub. They did expo as well last year, which means they want to attract traders and business individuals across the globe to come here and set up their companies, right? Now if they had to do it in the old way, they can expect that every individual, like for example yourself, have to fly in to Dubai and go to so many departments to open a company. Like you have to go to the land department to purchase a land or a shop, you have to go to electricity department, you have to go to a telco department, legal department, immigration department, so many, and eventually you also have to open a bank account. That means you also have to go to a bank. So you have to really invest so much of time here, so much of documentation, compliance to open a company. Now, if that can be solved by some very secure ecosystem, that is definitely a good use case, right, for metaverse. And that's
Well,
what Dubai is trying
I
to do.
mean, I don't see any need for three dimensionality in this, though. So,
I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why. I think it's a very valid question. Now, if it had to be done in 2D space, the reason is you have to do a lot of interactions. What happens in three-dimensional space? It's called immersive. When I say immersive, there will be a bank representative which will be waiting for you in the metaverse. And when you come there, they will welcome you and they will assist you. So what is happening in that ecosystem, that if I'm a individual who wants to open a company in Dubai, I will come to that metaverse and then I will be greeted by a AI bot which will give me a basic
oh, so it's
walkthrough
a
of how
bot.
you can open a company, and then he will assist me to, yeah, it will be a AI bot. So here, first of all, you are saving some, effort of individual. And when that AI bot has to subsequently hand over that individual to various persons, there will be avatars or an agents who will be available in the booths in that metaverse ecosystem. So that individual,
Why could you not achieve that with chats?
you can do that, but now comes that's a very valid question, and I think that will help me give the answer very aptly. So if you have to do this in a centralized ecosystem, it will never happen. Imagine, can there be a company which can host data of a bank, of immigration, of land department, of regulators? No, right? Who will give you access to so many servers? So definitely one chatbot cannot do that. So you need to have a decentralized ecosystem. That means there should be a blockchain nodes of the banks, of the land department, immigration. So it has to be a decentralized ecosystem at the back end. That is step number one. You cannot do that in a
But those departments are centralized, right? So each of them could be just talking to you via a website
Yes, but
in
then
a
there will
way.
be multiple hop and hop on and hop offs. If I have to go to 5 websites, that's not a very good user experience, right?
Ah,
So I have to unify it, but in a decentralized manner, yet make it very, very immersive. So when you are putting the recipe, the secret recipe of making it decentralized, secure, no single point of failure, and it has to be very, very interactive with actual people, involved in that, transaction, then metaverse is your answer. Because, and that's where, I wanted to highlight that, people have this confusion that metaverse is only decentralized. So metaverse can be decentralized, it can be a centralized.
okay, great. This is a great point where I would like to ask you a question. What exactly do you mean by this? Because I've been reading about various platforms, such as Unity and Decentraland and so on. And there are multiple sources that say that in some ways they are centralized places, really building on decentralized architecture now. So I don't exactly know what these things mean.
Okay,
Since
sure.
yeah, could you give us a good explanation of what do you mean exactly by decentralized and what do you mean by
Okay,
centralized?
sure. So, first of all, we need to understand that why decentralization is important. So, decentralization is as good as democracy. So, what is democracy? Democracy for the people, by the people. So, if that had to happen in technology, what was happening before is like today, Google has your entire data, Facebook has your
Yes,
entire
yes,
information. But if you
correct.
want
Yeah.
to really, segregate it and give control to the, you can say the owner of the data, that makes it decentralized. And that was actually the essence of creating decentralized metaverse. But again, metaverse is just a front end. Metaverse is your immersive layer where people can interact, but it has to communicate to a backend. Now that backend option can be a decentralized technology or a centralized technology. That's
Mm,
why you are hearing about, for example, Meta by Facebook is a centralized metaverse.
of
That
course.
means
Yeah.
even if you are interacting there, data belongs to them. But
Yes,
if
yes.
you look at Decentraland, Decentraland is a decentralized metaverse which works with a DAO protocol, which is decentralized autonomous organization, which is again
Hmm.
a layer which manages the entire ecosystem without having single ownership. So in Decentraland, for example, if you are buying a land, if you're creating your property, it belongs to you perpetually, and you can always leverage it.
So what does this mean
And
to
that's
own land there in Decentraland? What
okay.
is it? What is the purpose of that?
Okay, sure. So what happens is in the metaverse, like I said, there are metaverse like Meta, Mesh, Horizon. These are centralized. So what they are
Hmm.
doing is they are providing you as a service, right? That
Hmm.
means they still own the metaverse. But then there are metaverses like Sandbox, Decentralized, Somnium Space. These are decentralized based on Web3. So, what happens because they are decentralized, they still have to give some ownership to the people who are putting some investment, putting some effort to create a property or an asset there, right? So, that's why they came up with the idea that, okay, if I'm creating a ecosystem or a landscape, which means imagine it as a earth, like okay, they
Ah,
have just replicated earth there, and then they are saying that you buy a piece of land which is actually a piece of code for you, and there you can actually customize and create any architecture. You can actually open a bank, you can open a shop, you can open anything, or even you can organize events. So it's a piece of land for you, but that piece of land will be managed on a DAO method mechanism. It's not again owned by decentralized. One very important point, when it comes to Web3 or the decentralized technologies, they don't have an HQ. That means they don't have headquarters. If they have a headquarter, it's not decentralized. If you, and that comes down to the recent collapses which everybody is talking about in the cryptocurrency space. Cryptocurrency by default is not centralized, but yes, exchanges were to some extent, and that's why there was always your influx of big fund or movement of funds, and that created some sort of volatility issue. But when it comes to metaverse, that's why most of the people who are very very well aware of this technology and they know the right usage, they prefer decentralized metaverse against centralized metaverse, because they know if they will not in future, the similar situation may come. So I think this is what the segregation of the both the metaverses.
I understand. So this the concept of decentralized versus centralized, but there are elements of unity and of
Yeah.
decentraland that are also centralized, right? So what does that mean? Like, how are they
Okay.
centralized and also decentralized?
Okay. So I think this is a very common confusion people have. So Unity is not a metaverse. Unity is a software tool. Unity, Unreal Engine, these are the software tools or a studios where you can actually create the metaverse. When you create a metaverse, you can deploy it in a decentralized manner or a centralized manner. Even we are doing couple of projects where we are using Unity, but then in one of the project we are putting it in a blockchain ecosystem which is totally decentralized, and we are also deploying the same Unity application in a centralized. So Unity is not metaverse. Unity is just a tool or a framework which can be used to develop either centralized or decentralized metaverse. So I think that should clear the confusion. Unity is not a metaverse. Metaverse, ready-made metaverse today, very popular ones are Decentraland Sandbox in decentralized area. In centralized, it's Meta, Microsoft Mesh, which is coming up very soon. Horizon, which is again from Facebook. Spatial, I think people should talk about Spatial as well. If, and I would like to put that for our audience, that if they really want to explore metaverse without getting into the technology, they should go into Spatial. Now Spatial is a very easy to use, easy to understand metaverse, yet centralized, but it's very very engaging. And that is the next recipe of metaverse, which is community building. Now, I do recall that I attended the one of the technology event in UAE, which had a very dedicated area of metaverse and Web3. I saw every individual is coming up with their own metaverse. So that is again something people are trying to do. But then people ask me which metaverse I should opt in. I mean, there are hundreds of metaverse today. What should I do? So
Yeah.
the basic answer is community. It's exactly same logic which was given in Facebook. During Facebook there were so many. I'm sure there were so many social media engines, but end of the day, Facebook had maximum audience and the users, and that's why people opted for it. Same goes for metaverse. That's why Decentraland and Sandbox are very very popular, because most of the people are already there. So if you open your shop there, you don't have to hunt for people to come and buy products. They are already there. They will be notified that Johannes has opened a nice podcast event center there, and you should just come and attend it. And that's the beauty
You're
of it.
giving me some ideas here. So I wanted to
Yeah.
ask you, okay, so this metaphor of land. So I take a little bit of an issue with this because I studied economics and I know something about
Okay.
there's a special economic um, idea with land, which is that it's finite and it cannot be, you cannot make an infinite amount of it. Here it seems that this is not a good metaphor, right? We should call it something else. We should call it, you know, I don't know. I don't know exactly what to call it. NFTs, I suppose.
Tokens.
Yeah, NFTs.
Tokens. Yeah.
So I think that
Yeah,
the
NFTs.
concept of land has a little bit of a, an issue. I mean, but I guess that's not really a big deal. But the economics of it will be different than that of land.
Yes, but they're trying hard. I mean, I do recall that even in Decentraland, for example, they're trying to, put the same economy of scale. I mean, for example, the lands are not infinite in Decentraland. They have
Oh,
already allocated. It goes like Bitcoin. When the Bitcoin has been, was launched way back, we knew how many bitcoins will be burnt, how many will be,
mhm.
recreated, or how the the things will work there. Same goes with metaverse as well. So decentralized does not have infinite land. Only thing what
Ah,
they are doing is they are launching, it's like, you actually want to sell some properties, so you will just put few properties for sale, and few you will keep it for later stages. That's what decentraland
mhm.
is doing. They're
I
just
see.
going selective, so that it doesn't become very hodgepodge for them as well. I mean, there definitely, there are so many miners involved. There is a, a currency running behind it, so they are trying to manage it efficiently, but end of the day it's not infinite. It's definitely not infinite. Otherwise, why
Interesting.
leading banks, will invest in land there? I mean, they know it, if it's not, it doesn't make sense.
I see.
So
So
it's
they
finite.
created an artificial kind of finiteness
Yes.
about it. I see. I see. So then it can be really
Yes.
compared to land in that sense. So you've given us some good examples of how to use it. I really like the one with the history museum, or if you will, or
Yeah.
the prehistory museum. Can you think of a few more that would really be revolutionary, and why that would really not be able to be done in any other medium?
Of course, we are doing something. I mean, something in the healthcare industry, and that's definitely revolutionary from our perspective. And we are doing it with the regulators here. The idea was that when there are few critical surgeries, or even some critical consultation has to happen, you have to get the experts around the globe at real time, giving real time attention to how the surgery is happening, or how the diagnosis is happening. And that becomes a very very inefficient method if it is not happening in a real time basis with some immersive experience. And that's why metaverse has been opted as one very good technology. Because what happens in metaverse, imagine the doctors sitting in Germany, in UK, in US, they just wear a oculus, and they are able to see how a particular surgery is happening, and they are able to guide them right away. And they are able to even go into the the details of that particular surgery. They are able to access information in terms of what is the anatomy of the individual, what's the blood pressure, what is the blood sugar, what is the temperature. So, and that's a collaborative effort. How it was happening before, if you ask me, I definitely, there are very very good apps available, but how it was happening, it was still happening on voice calls or audio calls. So people were just seeing something in a two-dimensional space. But when it comes to this technology, I'm telling you, it's revolutionary, because we are going to use AR in that. We are going to bring multiple information sources, so that if at all some expert advice has to come, it comes right away. If somebody has to access a research paper, it is available. And by the way, I'm sure many of the audiences knows about the Good Doctor TV series, which is very very popular.
Hello again. Sorry, I think it was my fault. And so what happens is I think my internet was not good enough, so I switched to G5 now.
Okay,
It's very strange
no problem.
in London, talking about technology, technological failures. Yeah,
That's happens. That's fine.
this will happen in the metaverse as well, right? That
Many a times. Yeah, yeah. Many a times.
what happens if this happens in the media in the metaverse? Do you get thrown? Your avatar disappears, or
No, no, avatars froze. It freezes. I mean, what happens? It
uh,
freezes, and then you again reconnect, and it's like a robot. Like the robot freezes, so it freezes.
uh, yeah, yeah. I guess that's the annoyances that go with technology sometimes.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
yeah, but we were you were speaking about the
Healthcare.
healthcare case, where experts can be immersed in the active situation and active operation or surgery, for example.
Yes.
So then I want to ask you, what can go wrong with the metaverse? What do you think can go wrong in a societal way? How can it harm us, other than the case that we discussed earlier, where we might not be spending enough time anymore in nature and get further disconnect from it, but there might be some additional cases where you think it could be severely problematic for society. What do you think then, and how do you think we can maybe be cautious about it?
Okay. Yeah, one thing for sure, with every technology, the risk of becoming a surrogate is, a very concerning thing. That means if you are getting dependent on metaverse too much, okay, you will eventually not be moving out of your chair. I mean, you will be just sitting and, accessing the metaverse for every small and big thing, and that makes you unhealthy as well as non-social from a real life perspective. I mean, you are still social, but actually you're not social. So that's one concern, and that's a very and that's why even the Gen Z, which are very active in this space, they have been told now and then that use this technology with some responsibility. And I think again this responsibility comes on sort of some regulation which has to come around this technology as well. For example, if we'll keep yeah.
I mean, because the
Yeah, please.
responsibility, I think, is a lot of that should be with the producer, right? Because people,
Yes.
we have evolved some deep-seated instincts and whatnot, in ways that can be hacked in a way. So sort of, I feel that
Yes.
Facebook is doing exactly that, right? It's sort of hacking into our
Yes.
emotional um, buttons, so to speak. And when you do that, that's irresponsible, but not from the user is almost helpless against this, right? It's not completely.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, we can still make our choices and we can choose to disconnect from the network, but at the same time, it becomes difficult for some people, especially people who are vulnerable to this. So don't you think? So it seems to be a producer responsibility, right? Mostly, is it not?
Yes, of course. I mean, it's a very important point, and that's why I think, like I said, by the way, people are very smart nowadays. They already have thought about it, and that's why you think Decentraland is more popular than Meta, because Decentraland does not have this risk. I mean,
Right.
your data is yours.
Hmm.
Nobody has your data.
Yeah.
They cannot misuse it. So there are people who knows where to go and where they should not go.
Yes,
And second is,
that's
always
true.
remember, if you are not using a product, you are the product.
Yes. Yes.
That means if
Great.
Facebook is providing you so much of info,
Absolutely.
services, yeah, they are using you as a product.
Yeah, they're changing you also. So they're
Yeah.
they're changing the way that you think and the way that your attention span works, what you pay attention to,
Yeah.
the kinds of things you pay attention to, and so on. All in the favor of a few advertisers, right? Compared to the number of
Yes.
so-called users. Yeah, exactly. So you're the product.
Very
That's
true.
a good way to
Yeah.
put it. I
Yeah.
agree with that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yes.
therefore, decentralized and decentralized systems is the answer to that. Although there's yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so that's the answer to that particular problem, and also it probably will help with. I mean, so another thing about that is the science that goes with it, right? So I think that if we find out that there are some issues we didn't know about, because clearly there will be, we have to have this presumption of um, as we go forward and innovate, which is exciting and it has a lot of benefits that we can't afford to actually miss out on. And so we have to see that as well as an ethical concern. Maybe we miss out on something, but at the same time, um, as we go there, we have to be careful, and we have to see when there's when there is something happening that is unintentional, that has some unintentional negative consequences. We should be quick to navigate that and to see that and to react to it pretty quickly. And I think only reactive. I mean, we can only be reactive in some ways, but really, in a sense, because we're moving relatively fast and we're doing some things that we have never experienced before. Certainly didn't evolve for this kind of environment. So um, we will inevitably have some results that probably are in some ways problematic. And how do we safeguard for that? How do we build guide rails, if you will?
Okay, so what happens is, like, for example, which, like, in my company, we have done more than 45 blockchain projects, and now we are doing so many metaverse projects as well. What we always put into consideration is how the governance layer is. Now, that governance layer is not just meant to have efficient system running, or things going very, very, performance friendly, but also the ethical part of it. For example, I do remember that in one of the AI projects which I was part of, facial recognition.
Oh yeah.
Now, facial recognition doesn't allow you to actually recognize the color of the individual, because that's discrimination. So the AI algorithm, in the very, very, base core, does not allow you to do that. So you cannot identify that how many people have white skin versus brown skin versus black skin. They will allow you to see the age, they will allow you to see the gender. That's about it.
The
And even in
gender.
this part of the world,
The gender, there
yeah.
things get tricky, especially when you go to the United Arab Emirates, isn't it?
Yeah. Yes, yes. That's again a valid point. So same, by the way, goes in Web3 and metaverse space as well. There is a ethical, center of excellence. We have done that for, very major companies here, where we put forward what should be the right enterprise architecture, what should be your policy and procedures. That means what policies you have to follow for, using this technology, what should be allowed, what should not be allowed. So these things actually tackle this layer of making it, misused, or unethical, or people are trying to, put a lot of, you can say inevitable problems. So we try to
That's right.
see.
So if you're in the UAE, right, there will be certain regulations there that are peculiar to that place. But the metaverse is not
Yes,
fenced
I
off,
mean,
so you can go there and suddenly you can be discriminated against if you're, for example, in the LGBTQ community, right? I mean, we have another episode on techno womanism, which addresses these kinds of problems.
mhm.
But that's that's a big concern for me. What if you have different jurisdictions with completely different ethical ideas, such as Saudi Arabia, United Emirates, and so on. Then how do we as Westerners, with our different views, compared to say the Saudis, how do we engage on this global platform?
Okay. So see, again, people usually think that, the regulations, or the standards are built for a technology, for a specific technology. That is not the case. The standard has to be global. So when I say
Yeah.
global, like, GDPR. Now GDPR is not very specific to a AI application or a social media application. GDPR also applies to metaverse. So even, for
Okay. Yeah.
example, most of the metaverse projects we are doing, you know, if you are logging in, you have to follow that what information will go into metaverse and what will not go into metaverse. Okay. So that is the regulation which is global. So that goes with all the, all the permutation combinations of, the things which you just said. For example, even if I'm building a metaverse or building any simple mobile app, I have to follow and, give the same, respect of the regulations of the country, as well as the my destination country. So if my metaverse is going to interact globally, I have to ensure that the standardization across the globe is incorporated in metaverse. So GDPR, European GDPR, United States GDPR, or other country GDPR has to be duly followed. I will give you one example. Like in Dubai or UAE, data cannot go out. I mean, the server has to be in country. So when we are doing metaverse projects here, we have to use a in country server for just retaining the data which is coming from this country, but then that metaverse client application is accessible publicly. So what happens, it's a distributed server, architecture, where information of this country resides in this country, and information of other country resides in that respective country. So everybody is, respecting the regulations of that country, and no problem occurs. And then there are regulators who are overseeing
how these applications are designed or developed. In UAE, you have Smart Dubai government as a consultant or a organization who is overlooking all the nascent technologies. If you go to their website, they give you the metaverse strategy, the blockchain strategy, the AI strategy, automation strategy, which with all the do's and don'ts. So they tell you how you should do, what you should not do. So similar to that, I know for the fact every country in the world have some sort of organization who is overlooking and managing this. Like I,
Yes.
yeah. So I mean, definitely,
But this causes problems, maybe sometimes more problems than it solves,
yeah,
right? Because the thing is that we have, it can be that you're in order to be compliant with one country's regulation, you must actually break the compliance with another country, right? Because they can be in conflict. Ethical systems, as we know, are not really truly always
yeah.
universal. There are areas of disagreement in
Yeah,
various
that's where I think
areas, and
innovation,
that's where it
yeah,
gets
that's where I think innovation comes. For example, I'll give you one small quote. If you would have asked, long time back, a horse rider that, I want to move very fast, he would have recommended you a faster horse. Nobody would have thought about a car, right? So when the car came, it
right,
was an innovation or thought process which nobody liked. People would have said, why not
right.
opt for a faster horse? So same goes with innovation as well. When innovation comes, first you have to focus on the technology maturity, that there is a hype curve which talks about how the technology has to evolve from just a gimmick to a proper fourth industrial revolution element, and that goes through the entire.
But
Yeah.
if Mr. Daimler had known, the inventor of the automobile, if he had known that at some point there will be lots of these cars everywhere in the world, and they will
Yeah.
cause,
Lot of
there will be a
pollution.
big contributor to, yeah, and pollution and climate change and so on. Maybe it would have been a wise thing to pull back,
Yeah.
actually. So it's not always clear to me just because something in the past worked out the way that it did, right? It is inevitable that we must follow this kind of, innovation for innovation's sake, and everything else, all other concerns are secondary. So there, it must not be that way, right? So you
Yeah.
could,
I mean, that's
of course,
yeah.
these things are hard to foresee.
Yeah.
Daimler could not have seen that this could have happened,
Yes, I mean
and so that's
so
where,
it's actually the two-stage phenomena. One stage is innovation, and then there is a industrialization of that innovation. So, for example, when possibly he would have thought about cars, he
hmm
thought to solve a problem, and that's about it. That's innovation. But then there were
right,
hundreds of people who
yeah,
said that let's make money out of it. Let's, make it a habit for every individual to sit in one car, and then, three by fourth of that car is not occupied, and use it, and that creates traffic, right? If you look at the maximum cars being driven in any country, it's just a individual. Why not take a bike? Why not carpool? They don't do it, right? So nobody thought. It's an industrialization. It's a habit which was brought in our mind through through the commercial aspect of the industries. I know one example. I was reading it recently that a long time back, one of the razor companies thought that, okay, the women hair is not a very good way of beauty. I mean, it doesn't look beautiful, and they started portraying it as a as a, you can say, in their ads, in their commercials, that okay, if you have hair in your legs, you're not beautiful. So,
yeah,
before that, it was not even a thought in the mind of any
of
individual.
course,
But
yeah.
then people started thinking about it. And that's where, people started buying the blades, and, it now became a very, normal thing, default thing, right? People will actually think that the other side is ugly. So that was natural, right? The natural thing has been moved to a more, unnatural aspect. So
Yes,
it's a habit.
this is the thing about culture. This is you can come up with arbitrary reasons why something is now
Yeah.
beautiful or not so beautiful, and almost anything can be beautiful or not
Yes.
beautiful, and
Yes,
so
exactly.
yeah, that's true. I really appreciate, if you want to say something else, do you have, for example, a book or something you want to plug on this show? Something you want to tell us about the audience?
Yeah, no, I think in the end, what I want to, highlight to everyone, people, should learn about metaverse, it's always recommended to stay in the game. I mean, at least that the technology savvy individuals and even the business individuals. And I'm giving you this example because when robotic process automation was just a concept, I started reading about it, and I also worked on this area for some time. I realized that okay, it is definitely going to give some impact on how things goes. It eventually did. So I
Yeah.
knew for the sure that it will happen with metaverse as well. Metaverse definitely is. It may not become your de facto technology, it may not become part of your life as a major thing, but it will stay. It's going to stay. It will stay there. So if you learn it, if you know about it, you might be able to contribute it in a better manner. I mean, like you said in the very beginning, you know
Yeah, what you just said raises a bit of a question for me too. How do you think this will affect the future of work? Will there be, because if let's say a larger proportion, maybe not everybody, but if a large proportion of people start engaging in the metaverse in terms of their professional life, that might have effects on people who are actually not in a metaverse at all in their professional life. You see,
yeah.
what do you think about that, and how do you have spent much time thinking about the future of work with respect to the metaverse?
Yes, I think when it comes to the future of the work life, I'll say there are few sectors where definitely metaverse is going to make a lot of difference, especially where the safety standards has to be taken care. Drilling in an oil and gas refinery, if an individual can opt not to go and stand in front of the drilling equipment, it's definitely safer. It definitely much better. Same goes with so many other sectors as well, where equipments are actually doing the job and you are just monitoring. So that monitoring can also happen in a metaverse, sort of an ecosystem using some state of the art AR technology. But other than that, if I say like information technology, like people like you and me, I'll say let's keep a balance. Let's not just stay only in metaverse. Let's not just only stay in person. Let's bring a balance, because the balance will also improve our personal life. I mean, if you are able to do some task in metaverse, we don't have to commute. I mean, that commute, if we don't commute, we'll be saving some energy. Pollution will be lesser, less traffic. So there are always benefits. I'm sure you know that during COVID, the pollution index was way low. I mean, clear water, birds were out, animals were happy. So that can also happen, if we are opting, but always keep a balance. I mean, the balance is the secret recipe of everything. If you don't keep balance, nothing is good. I mean, if you eat a lot of sugar, not good. If you don't eat sugar, not good. Keep a balance. So, I mean, I'll end my conversation with this statement.
I appreciate that very much. It's been a great pleasure and very interesting to speak with you about the metaverse.
Yeah.
You're a great expert in this field, and you have certainly, I've certainly learned something from this conversation, quite a bit.
Thank you.
This show is published every Wednesday at 5 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Next week, I will be meeting with Amara Sese, who is a Nigerian educator building the digital leaders of tomorrow. Tune in and subscribe now.
I studied education in school. I discovered that there are a lot of things that are missing in terms of uh, the nexus between what people learn in school and what the society and the digital growth that we are experiencing globally requires from learners.